Hello everyone, my name is Megan. I'm going to ask you all a question. Have you ever gone on a drive into the mountains and you saw those really big white boxes in a field? Well, if you have, those boxes have bees in them. And my family happens to have 4 boxes of bees. At my aunt's house, we have a family garden. My aunt and I take care of them. And 2 years ago, we decided to get bees. So I guess you could say my aunt and I are beekeepers. We have a few thousand bees altogether, which is pretty cool and crazy to think about. Usually when people find out that we have bees, they're always a little bit shocked and they say that they can never have bees, that's too scary. And I will admit, at first it was a little scary. But once you get over the initial fear and anxiety, it is a lot of fun and I enjoy it. Bees are complex and they take lots of prep and care. So I'm going to explain to you all how my aunt and I take care of our bees. Bees need a certain amount of sunlight. If they have too much, it can make them really tired and they won't produce the right amount of honey. They also prefer certain flowers and plants, and they need a nearby water supply. We kind of built our own little bee utopia for them in the backyard. Now this needs to be done before you get the bees, so it's ready to go when you have them. Now we found our bee supplier, and yes, we have a bee guy now. So we made the transaction, we have our bees, and I'll admit, the bees were not cheap, but they were worth it. Now the bees, once we got them all set up and ready to go, in their boxes, we gave them a few days. We wanted them to be able to get acclimated and used to their new environment before we introduced ourselves to them, and also we didn't want to upset them or make them agitated by our presence, especially in such a new environment. So once they're acclimated over the next few days, the fun part begins. We get to check on them. Now this is where the bee suits come into play. Now I'm sure you guys have seen videos or pictures of beekeepers wearing those big white suits, and that is exactly what we have. My aunt and I are the ones that wear them. It's pretty funny. They're the typical big white suits with the big hat and then the mesh face covering. It's to keep us safe. Your wrists and your ankles need to be covered completely to make sure that no bees can get up into your suit. I don't even want to imagine what it would be like if a bee got into my suit. Sounds not enjoyable. Once you're suited up, you can go check on the bees. Usually the bees do not care at all if you're there. They just kind of do their thing, fly around you, but sometimes the bees are a little bit agitated, and they'll tell you. You just have to read their body language, and you'll know. One time I went to check on the bees, and they were just flying into me and hitting me and pelting me. They weren't stinging me, but they were hitting me, and so that told me, oh, the bees don't want me here, I'm gonna go. Now, another way to keep us safe that we use while we're checking on the bees is not only our suit, but a tool. It's a tin canister. It kind of looks like the oil tin from the Wizard of Oz. We put this thing in there and we light it on fire inside of the tin can. And it has a lid on it and a handle. And then once that thing is on fire and it's creating some smoke, then we lift up the lid part with the handle, and smoke starts to come out. And once it hits the bees, it starts to calm the bees down. It's completely safe for them, but it keeps them nice and calm while we're in the area. It helps to keep us safe. And we have never been stung by the bees in the 2 years, which is fantastic. Means we're doing something good, I think. Now, one of the plus sides of having bees, which is one of the original reasons why we got them, is the garden. We have a big garden that we share with family, and since having the bees and then being able to pollinate our garden has grown maybe twice the size. It's been really great. So we've got a lot more fruits and vegetables, and more people have been able to enjoy it. So on top of the honey, we have extra fruits and vegetables, which is great. After some time, the bees start to build up a really big honeycomb, and that's where we really start to check on them a lot. Now in each of the boxes have 6 slats. They're rectangles, and that's where the bees build their honeycomb on. Now what we do to check on them is we grab each slat and we lift it up and we check to see what the honeycomb's looking like, how many bees are on each one, if it looks healthy, if there's any mold. We don't want that. Just make sure they're healthy. If there's too many bees, one person will hold the slat, the other one will, with their hand, will scoop some of the bees, and then we'll put it in another box. That part's a little bit intimidating, but never had anything happen. Usually they're pretty okay with me picking them up. It's surprising how heavy each slat is and how much the bees actually weigh. Now, the hardest part of having bees is protecting them. Now, you have to protect them from other bees. And I did not know this. When there is a weak colony, a strong colony might sense that and come in, kill that weak colony, and take all their honey. I had no idea that there's a potential bee war going on. So you have to be careful, make sure that your hive and your colony are strong and healthy in order to make sure that does not happen. So that's our number one concern. Now we check on our bees about every few days. And checking on the bees is probably one of the best parts of having bees. It's really enjoyable, even though it takes a lot of prep to put the suits on. It's very fun. And getting honey for the first time is amazing. The best part of by far. So yes, I am a beekeeper with my aunt, and we have thousands of bees. It takes a lot of prep, care, and research to properly house bees and make sure that they stay healthy and alive. The honey that you get and checking on them makes the whole thing worth it. I know having bees is not for everyone, and that's okay, but it is for me, and I love it. I mean, who wouldn't want to wear the bee suit and look like the Michelin Man? As long as your bees have a good home and a safe environment, the rest of it is very easy taking care of them. I think taking care of bees are very fun and they help our garden. And one of the best parts is I don't have to buy honey from a store anymore. So thank you.